Monopoly has got to be one of my top 3 favorite board games, if not number 1. I love Monopoly. And I always remember the backstory about the guy who supposedly invented it during the Great Depression and got rich. His name was Charles Darrow. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's broke, he's unemployed. He supposedly sits down and creates this game about buying properties and getting rich. Parker Brothers buys it. Monopoly explodes. Darrow becomes a millionaire. It's a great story. It's a great Depression era rags to riches story. This broke, unemployed guy makes a game about getting rich and actually gets rich. So good. So good that Parker Brothers actually printed that story and put it inside of Monopoly sets for decades. There's just one problem. It's not the whole truth. Because 30 years before Darrow, there is this woman, Lizzie Magie, and I am fascinated by her. It's 1904. American women don't even have the right to vote nationally yet. And Lizzie has patented her own board game, the Landlord's game. Look at it. Properties, rent, railroads, taxes, jail. It's basically Monopoly. But Lizzie wasn't trying to get rich. She was a follower of Henry George, who was an economist, who was arguing for this idea he called the single tax, which I'm not going to get into. But Lizzie said, you know how I'm going to teach people about this? I'm going to make a board game. And honestly, I love that about her. She makes different ways for people to play the game so that they can experience different economic systems. And then her game basically escapes into the wild. And people start making homemade copies. They teach their friends. They change the rules. They change the properties. Eventually, players around Atlantic City start using names like Boardwalk and Park Place, and this goes on for decades until it finally reaches Charles Darrow. Some friends played the game with him and his wife. They taught him the rules. He even asks them to write down the rules for him. So he didn't invent Monopoly from scratch, but he does realize that he's got a product here that he can sell. So he has artwork made. He starts producing the sets. He starts selling them in Philadelphia area department stores. And they're selling. He pitches it to Parker Brothers. And at first, they actually rejected him. But then they come around, they buy it, and then Monopoly explodes. But now Parker Brothers has a little problem. They've invested into this massive hit that people have basically been playing for years. And so they start acquiring rights to similar games that have been patented in order to protect their investment. And eventually, they find this patent sitting underneath this whole family tree. Lizzie's. George Parker, one of the Parker brothers, actually comes out of retirement and flies to Lizzie in Washington, D.C. to buy her out. Parker Brothers comes along and offers to publish her original game, the Landlord's game, along with 2 of her other games. And Lizzie thinks to herself, finally, my ideas are going to reach everybody. And she sells her patent rights for a whopping $500. No royalties. After the deal's done, she actually wrote Parker Brothers farewell to her beloved brainchild, which is really heartbreaking when you think about the fact that she never had kids. This was her baby for 30 years. But Parker Brothers barely promotes her games. And in their version of the Landlord's game, they actually leave out the economic rules that she even cared about. I was watching this PBS special on the history of Monopoly, which is where I learned a lot of these facts. And one economist put it perfectly when they said they flatter her into insignificance. Meanwhile, Parker Brothers is getting rich. Darrow becomes a millionaire. And this is the part that really gets me. One of the last records that we have of Lizzie Magie is in the 1940 census. Under occupation, she puts maker of games. Income, 0. She dies 8 years later, and her obituary doesn't even mention Monopoly. And the Darrow story might have remained the Monopoly story, if not for decades later, a San Francisco State economics professor named Ralph Anspach, who created the game Anti-Monopoly. It's during the early 1970s oil crisis, and Ralph, an economics professor, is pissed about the oil monopolies. He comes home one night after sitting in traffic for 4 hours, and he's watching the news. The oil crisis is dominating the news, and he's bitching about the monopolists. And his 8-year-old son turns to him and goes,
"Dad, you're just mad because I beat you at Monopoly last night."
And he's like, wait, my son thinks monopolies are good because that's how you win Monopoly. So he's looking for a game that teaches the opposite. Can't find one, makes Anti-Monopoly. He actually has a lot of success with this game. It takes off in the Bay Area. He has 500,000 orders for the game. He's already sold 200,000. By this point, Parker Brothers is actually owned by General Mills. They start to threaten him with trademark infringement. And Ralph's like, I'm not just gonna roll over and take this. So he actually sues them first. General Mills fights back. Ralph loses. And the judge actually orders for all of his inventory to be destroyed. The lawyers that represent Parker Brothers at this time invite the media to watch some 40,000 copies of Anti-Monopoly be destroyed by being buried in a Minnesota landfill. And Ralph is pissed. So he starts digging up all these old patents. He finds an old story about the origins of Monopoly. And that legal battle helps drag Monopoly's history back into the light. So Monopoly wasn't invented one night at Charles Darrow's kitchen table. It evolved over decades from Lizzie Magie's original The Landlord's game to regular people to Darrow to Parker Brothers, and eventually became one of the biggest board games in the world. And to me, that story is way more interesting than the one that they used to put in the box.